The galactic high chamber hummed with the low-frequency vibrations of 1,000 species, their forms shifting in the dim, bioluminescent light. Chancellor 𝗦𝗲𝘀 of the 𝗦𝗁𝗔 Dominion adjusted his neural uplink, silencing the murmurs with a single pulse of authority. "The records are clear," he intoned, his voice a synthesized ripple across the chamber. Asterisk, the species designated human, was eradicated in the cleansing of soul. Their worlds burned. Their fleets shattered. There is nothing left. Asterisk. A rasping laugh echoed from the far end. Elder 𝗦𝗁, his carapace cracked with age, leaned forward on his hoverstaff. "You read the archives, but you do not understand asterisk them. The humans were never destroyed. They asterisk retreated. Asterisk. The chamber erupted in discord. The idea was absurd. No species had ever survived a 𝗦𝗁𝗔 cleansing. None had ever hidden from it. Yet, in the shadows, 𝗦𝗁𝗃 of the 𝗦𝗁𝗔 collective remained silent, her tendrils flicking through encrypted data streams. The archives spoke of humanity in fragments, whispers of a predator that learned faster than it died, a species that turned defeat into evolution. Then, the alarms shrieked. Deep-range sensors had detected an anomaly near the dead system of Sol. A scout drone was dispatched, its feed flickering into the chamber. "Nothing but debris," 𝗦𝗲𝘀 scoffed. But 𝗕𝗲 saw it first. The asteroids weren't drifting. They were arranged. The drone's feed zoomed in, revealing sleek, angular shapes hidden among the rocks. Not derelicts. Not ruins. Ships. The transmission cut with a scream of static. The last image burned into every screen. A single vessel, its hull scarred but unbroken, powering up with a pulse of crimson light. And then, a voice, raw, untranslated for centuries, crackled through the silence. "We slept." A pause. "You forgot." The chamber froze. "Now we return." The feed died. Somewhere in the dark, humanity opened its eyes. And the galaxy remembered fear. The Council's war room screens flickered with the last static-laced image of the human vessel before the feed severed. Silence choked the air, thick, disbelieving. Chancellor 𝗦𝗀𝘀's mandibles twitched, his grip fracturing the edge of the holotaple. "Impossible," he hissed. 𝗦𝗁𝗃 didn't blink, her tendrils coiled tight around the data stream. Asterisk, the archives warned us. Humanity didn't die. They asterisk adapted. Asterisk. A snarl rippled through the gathered commanders. The 𝗦𝗁𝗔 armada hadn't lost a war in millennia. Their fleets had glassed worlds, shattered empires. And now, asterisk this asterisk, a ghost story with teeth. "Send the 7th cleansing fleet," 𝗦𝗀𝘀 ordered. Asterisk, burn whatever's left. Asterisk. The 7th fleet emerged from warp at the edge of Sol, their battleships gleaming like blades in the void. Admiral 𝗦𝗁𝗃's command carrier loomed at the formation's heart, her scanners sweeping the system. "Debris fields consistent with ancient wreckage," her tactical officer reported. "No active SIG." The asteroid belt moved. Not a drift. A shift. Rocks split apart, revealing hulls, sleek, jagged, their surfaces drinking in the light. Human ships. Not derelicts. Not relics. Awake. 𝗦𝗁𝗃's claws unsheathed. Asterisk. Open fire. Asterisk. Plasma lanced out and splashed harmlessly against shields that shouldn't exist. The human vessels didn't evade. Didn't counter. They just watched. Then, they answered. A single frigate darted forward, its thrusters flaring wrong, cutting through space like it defied physics. 𝗦𝗁𝗃's targeting system screamed. The ship was everywhere, flickering between positions faster than lock could hold. Asterisk. Their maneuvers. Asterisk. The frigate rammed a 𝗦𝗁𝗔 destroyer. Not with kinetics. With gravity. Space itself bent, crushing the destroyer's spine like glass. Panic bled through the fleet's comms. Asterisk, their weapons, they're not firing. They're asterisk rewriting asterisk the battlefield. Asterisk. Human ships wove through formations untouched, their hulls shimmering with adaptive armor that dissolved plasma mid-impact. Missiles detonated early, their guidance systems hacked before launch. 𝗦𝗁𝗃's carrier shook as something latched onto its hull, a human boarding pod, its surface crawling with nanites. The feed from the lower decks dissolved into screams, then static. Then, a new voice. You came to finish the job. The transmission wasn't translated. It was learned. But we've had centuries to study you. 𝗕𝗏𝗀𝗁's screens exploded with warnings. The human fleet wasn't attacking. It was herding. The Seventh Fleet died in perfect, silent unison. Not with fire. With silence. One by one, their reactors stalled, their systems overwritten by codes older than their species. Ships drifted, powerless, their crews trapped in the dark as human vessels glided past, ignoring them. The last thing 𝗕𝗏𝗀 heard before her comms died was the human voice again, calm, almost pitying. Tell the rest. A pause. We're not what you remember. Then, Sol went quiet. And the galaxy realized. It wasn't a war. It was a demonstration. The silence from the Seventh Fleet lasted precisely 17 galactic standard hours before the first distress beacon flickered to life at the edge of Council space. A single 𝗦𝗫𝗍 escape pod, its hull scorched and systems fried. Inside, Admiral 𝗕𝗏𝗀𝗁's body was found intact, her neural implants surgically removed and placed neatly in her lap. The pod's black box contained no battle logs. No final stand. Just 3 seconds of clean audio. They let me go. The council chambers erupted into chaos. Chancellor 𝗦𝗏𝗀𝗀's mandibles trembled as he stared at the holographic wreckage reports. Not a single ship destroyed. Just disabled. Stripped of weapons, propulsion, even life support, yet left adrift with crews unharmed. This isn't warfare, Scholar Kess whispered. Asterisk, it's humiliation. Asterisk. The galaxy mobilized. The Kyrix swarm, the Velnari battle choirs, the 𝗬𝗏 Grand Armada, every fleet capable of void combat surged toward Sol. This wasn't just a retaliation. It was erasure. They found the system waiting. Human ships hung in perfect formation, their numbers impossibly small against the tidal wave of Allied forces. No grand speeches crackled over comms. No declarations of war. Just silence. Then, the human fleet split apart. Not into ships, into shards. Hulls unfolded like fractal blades, revealing structures that hurt the eyes to follow. Kyrix targeting systems overloaded instantly, their organic pilots clawing at their own optics as the human vessels twisted in and out of visible space. 𝗦𝗏𝗀𝗁's command ship rocked as their own point defense turrets turned inward, gunning down Allied fighters in flawless synchronization. Asterisk, they're inside our systems. Asterisk. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted 6 minutes. Human ships moved like liquid, slipping between railgun volleys, their shields learning to dissipate new weapon types mid-salvo. Missiles altered trajectory mid-flight, slamming into their own carriers. Kyrix hive ships found their neural links severed, their swarms collapsing into chaos. And then, asterisk, Chancellor, asterisk. The tactical display flared crimson as a single human vessel, larger than the others, detached from the formation. It didn't fire. Didn't advance. It projected. A holographic feed bloomed across every screen in the Allied fleet, showing 1,000 angles of the same moment. 𝗬𝗏 cleansing fleets, centuries past, glassing Earth. Cities burning. Ships torn apart. And then, survivors. Humans crawling from wreckage. Uploading their minds into shattered hulls. Fusing flesh with metal as they adapted. The voice that spoke wasn't a transmission. It was a memory. You thought extinction was a mercy. The hologram shifted, showing the present. Every Allied ship, every weapon, every weakness, laid bare in real time. We learned from yours. 𝗦𝗏𝗀𝗀's claws pierced his own palms. Fall back. Fall back. Too late. The human fleet pulsed. A wave of energy rippled outward, not a weapon, but a signal. Every Allied ship systems rebooted in unison. Engines died. Weapons powered down. And on every view screen, the same 3 words burned in perfect, unbroken script. Yield or die. The choice wasn't a demand. It was a test. And for the first time in galactic history, the Council hesitated. The Armada froze, thousands of warships hanging dead in space, their systems locked under the weight of a single command. No alarms blared. No engines hummed. Just the hollow silence of a galaxy holding its breath. Chancellor 𝗦𝗏𝗀𝗀 stared at the words scorched across his screen. Yield or die. Not a transmission. A verdict. His claws hovered over the self-destruct sequence. Better annihilation than surrender. Then the human fleet moved. Not to attack. To part. A path cleaved through their formation, leading straight to Sol's heart, and there, hanging in the void like a specter, was Earth. Not a corpse. A monument. The planet's surface gleamed under a lattice of artificial continents, its oceans crisscrossed with bridges of light. Towers taller than mountains speared through the atmosphere, their peaks wreathed in storms of data. This wasn't a graveyard. It was an archive. A single shuttle, unarmed and unescorted, detached from the human fleet and drifted toward the Council flagship. No demands. No conditions. An invitation. 𝗕𝗲𝘀 boarded with a retinue of trembling commanders, their weapons left behind. What was the point? The shuttle's walls watched them, its surfaces shifting subtly at their touch. The landing bay on Earth was empty. No guards. No diplomats. Just a voice in the air. Follow the light. It led them to a chamber, a vault of black stone, its walls lined with holograms of dead worlds. Not human. Theirs. 𝗦𝗫 Qiryx hive cities. 𝗦𝗁𝗲 orbital gardens. Every homeworld in the Council, rendered in perfect detail down to the last blade of grass. 𝗕𝗲𝘀 reached out, her tendril passing through the image of her birth city. These are our worlds. As they are now. The voice answered. And as they could be. The holograms flickered, showing the same worlds burning. Fleets shattered. Civilizations collapsing. Not a threat. A prediction. 𝗕𝗲𝘀's carapace rattled. You could have destroyed us at any time. Silence. Then, from the shadows, a shape emerged, not a human, but something wearing humanity like a second skin. A construct of fluid metal and flickering light, its voice woven from 1,000 whispers. Destruction was never the lesson. It gestured, and the chamber's floor dissolved, revealing Earth's core, a pulsing, crystalline engine the size of a moon. We rebuilt ourselves from ash. We could have done the same to you. 𝗕𝗲 understood first. You don't want vengeance. The construct's gaze held galaxies. We want you to remember. The transmission, when it came, echoed across every world in the Council. Earth, whole and unbroken. The human fleet, withdrawing. And the words, seared into the stars themselves. The war is over. The choice is yours. No demands. No treaties. Just silence. 𝗕𝗀𝘀 stood on his flagship's bridge, watching the last human vessel vanish into the dark. What now? His second-in-command asked. The Chancellor exhaled, mandibles slack. We learn. And somewhere beyond the void, humanity waited. Not as conquerors. Not as ghosts. But as guardians of the one lesson the galaxy had forgotten. Fear kept empires alive. But only wisdom let them endure. The silence after the human armada's withdrawal was heavier than any battle's aftermath. Galactic channels remained open, frequencies clear, waiting. But no demands came. No treaties. Only the echo of their final transmission lingering like a ghost between the stars. Chancellor 𝗕𝗀𝘀's War Council stood paralyzed on the command deck, their screens still displaying the last glimpse of Sol, Earth gleaming like a polished bone, its surface alive with the pulse of a civilization that had no right to exist. They could have crushed us, murmured Tactical Prime 𝗕𝗲𝘀, his 4 hands clenched into fists. Why didn't they? 𝗕𝗲𝘀 exhaled through her filtration vents, her tendrils flicking toward the data stream. Because we weren't the enemy. The holographic war table between them flickered to life without command. A human sigil burned in its center, not a weapon, not a threat. An invitation. The coordinates led to a dead system on the edge of former 𝗦𝗫𝘀 territory. No planets. No stations. Just a single derelict warship, its hull marked with the insignia of the 7th Cleansing Fleet, the first armada sent to Sol. It should have been scrap. Instead, it pulsed with low-level energy signatures. 𝗕𝗀𝘀's boarding party found no bodies. No signs of struggle. Just the ship's core intact, its navigation logs updated. With a route. Not to human space. To the past. The logs played automatically. A recording of Admiral 𝗦𝗫𝗀𝗃, dull with exhaustion, standing in this very hangar. "If you're seeing this, they let you find it," she said, her voice stripped of pride. Asterisk, they showed me. Not just Earth. Not just their survival. Asterisk. The feed split, showing ancient archives. The cleansing of soul. Human cities burning. And then, the other side. 𝗬𝗏 scouts, centuries before the cleansing, stumbling upon a fledgling human outpost. First contact. Peace offered. Peace refused. The humans had been ignorant, weak, unworthy of the stars. The Council's first fleet had glassed them as a mercy. 𝗦𝗫𝗀𝗃's image trembled. Asterisk, we were wrong. They weren't primitive. They were asterisk young. Asterisk. The feed cut to new footage. Human scientists, after the cleansing, pulling themselves from rubble. Not rebuilding. Evolving. Fusing with the very machines that had burned them. They could have wiped us out the moment they woke, 𝗬𝗫𝗀𝗃 whispered. Instead, they showed me why asterisk we were wrong. Asterisk. The recording ended. The ship's engines activated on their own. A jump sequence initiated. Destination, 𝗬𝗏'. The War Council returned to find their homeworld already knowing. The human transmission hadn't just been for them. It had been for everyone. Every species. Every colony. Every last citizen of the galaxy. The truth, unedited, unforgiving. 𝗦𝗫𝗀𝗃 stood before the High Assembly, the weight of centuries pressing down on his carapace. The chamber was silent. No demands. No ultimatums. Just the same choice, echoing across the stars. Learn. Or repeat. Years later, when the first human envoys finally emerged from Sol, they found a galaxy waiting. Not with weapons. With open docks. And on the edge of known space, a new monument stood, a twisted alloy of 𝗬𝗏 steel and human nanofilament, its surface etched with a single phrase in 1,000 tongues. Asterisk. The war is over. The lesson remains. Asterisk. No one knew who built it. But when the stellar winds howled through its hollows, it almost sounded like laughter. The monument at the edge of known space became a pilgrimage site. Not by decree, but by quiet necessity. Ships from every species came, not to worship, but to listen. The alloy moaned in the solar winds, its vibrations forming a perfect mathematical sequence that repeated every 37 hours. Scholar Kess was the first to decode it. The sound wasn't a message. It was a countdown. The human envoys arrived without ceremony. Their ships were smaller now, sleek, unarmed vessels that moved like living things. They didn't land on 𝗬𝗏' or demand audiences with the High Council. They went to the slums, the irradiated wastelands, the gutted husks of worlds the Council had written off. And there they worked. Not with speeches. Not with grand technologies. With hands. A human knelt in the acid sands of Velner's dead continent, its environmental suit peeling back to reveal scarred flesh as it pressed a seed into the cracked earth. The crowd of ragged survivors watched, breath caught, as the soil shifted, darkening, softening. The seed sprouted in seconds. Not a miracle. A choice. Chancellor 𝗦𝗫𝗀𝗃 found the first human envoy on the steps of the ruined High Archive, its helmet tucked under one arm as it stared at the shattered statues of past warlords. Asterisk, why here? Asterisk, 𝗦𝗫𝗀𝗃 rasped. Asterisk, why now? Asterisk, the human didn't turn. Asterisk, you kept records of every species you erased. But not their names. Asterisk, its fingers brushed the shards of a broken monument. Asterisk, we remember them. Asterisk, a hologram flickered to life, a trillion names scrolling past in silent procession. Not just humans. Everyone. 𝗦𝗫𝗀𝗃's mandibles went numb. The human stood. Asterisk, the monument at the edge of space isn't a memorial. It's a calibration point. Asterisk. Kess found the truth buried in the alloy's resonance. The countdown wasn't tracking time. It was tracking growth. Every repaired ecosystem. Every returned artifact. Every act of contrition from 1,000 species who had spent millennia conquering. The humans weren't judging. They were measuring. On the final day, the monument's tone changed. The galactic networks lit up with a single transmission, repeating just once. Enough. And in every system, from the core worlds to the fringe colonies, the stars twisted. Not a weapon. A window. The fabric of space peeled back, revealing impossible geometries, citadels of light, forests growing in the void, oceans suspended between realities. Not a human empire. Something older. The envoy's voice echoed across the silence. You passed. And the galaxy moved. 𝗦𝗫𝗀𝘁 woke on a plain of white grass, his carapace drenched in rain that tasted like forgiveness. Around him, his people blinked at the sky, not of a single world, but of all worlds, woven together in a tapestry of stolen suns. The human stood at the crest of the hill, its face finally visible. Young. Scarred. Smiling. Welcome, it said, to the next lesson. And beyond it, the monument waited, its surface now blank, ready to be inscribed anew.